just want to first explain how I've worked this project. So in my reflective journal is more of planning what I need to do, creating lists and just general thoughts and ideas. In my sketchbook is more of the annotation, in-depth analysis of everything that I've done, all the processes, everything. So I feel like please read my annotations. There's a lot of it, but everything is in the annotation that I do. So anyway, the first page I have is just a mind map with my first ideas that I came up with. A lot of stuff that I didn't go with, like Greek mythology, yeah, just a lot of stuff I just didn't even go with, but I guess that shows my process. First is the mark making. Here I just explain what mark making is and what this was. So this was using different techniques, playing around with music. That was what this was. Also, importantly, changing marks into art, which is why I think it relates to Transmute. Here is like more controlled mark making we did. So I drew that a hand and a crab claw and then did my mark making around it. I did this to like represent like the difference between humans and animals. At this point I'd realised my work looked like C.Y. Twomley, who's a mark making artist. I thought, let me just go with that. Did a whole artist research on him. Then I created these beautiful paintings. This one was based off of a direct image C.Y. Twomley made. This one was my own inspiration based on water, the kind of natural theme he likes to go with. Then I decided to create a painting in the same technique that C.Y. I don't know what his name was, C.Y. Twomley does. So like hanging it up and letting the paint drop. I documented my process and annotated it here. I also wrote this. It's after pre-priming the canvases with cream coloured gesso, the artist pinned them to the wall and applied individual colours, allowing the paint to dribble down in long vertical lines, which is basically what I did, and I annotated the process. This is my annotation, my in-depth annotation of my piece. I created it based on fire and did, yeah, a bunch of stuff. Next is when visiting the Tate, I found this artist, Rockney. I'm not even going to try and butcher the surname, but I was so inspired by him and what he does. So I did an in-depth artist research. I think it's really important to read this artist research because you'll understand that his pieces are based off like political, like it is basically like political, different political matters, which I decided to go with. I created this piece which had some of the mark making and collage and his style all into one. Very proud of this. But I wrote why it relates to Transmute. So the art of mark making transforms marks into art. The art of collage transforms random images and organised art. The theme of the piece is human transformation of the natural world into pollution. Yeah. I then did my evaluation of my annotating and everything. This explains absolutely everything to do with this piece. By the way, I'm going to be putting all of these in-depth annotations on the PowerPoint, so please read those. Here I just have some examples of the work he does, which really important. The work he does really inspired me, so I thought let me just add his work into my sketchbook. This was me. Oh no, wait, what did I say? Oh, this is now creating work how he does it. So this is the work he does. He basically paints on top of photographs. This is my unsuccessful attempt, which I thought I would add into it. Then I wrote here what went wrong. The image wasn't clear enough and caused the whole image to look grainy. Was hard to paint on top of. Dull image. Made colours look bright. Painted over top too harshly. Became too solid. Plan for piece wasn't clear enough. So yeah, this is the unsuccessful attempt. And here is the successful attempt, but wasn't that successful because paper was too slippery, causing paint to chip. However, I laminated on top, over top of it, which is true, but I like this piece a lot. This is my whole evaluation and everything. It explains why I chose this picture and everything. Next here we have my second piece that I did. This one's a lot better. I'm even more proud of this piece. My successful piece, painted on top of cartridge paper. Paint didn't chip and applied smoothly, which is very correct. This is my whole annotation, everything you need to know about why I did this right here. Next we have my next artist research, which is Ruth Asawa. So yeah, here's the artist research, everything about her life and everything. I wrote to that up. By the way, these artist research, they're not like copy and pasted. This is all me researching and putting it into one. These are my thoughts on the pieces and why I think they work. I decided to create some 3D shapes out of card and printed nets onto them, and decided to decorate them with recycled papers. That I just wanted to experiment with 3D shapes and how like shadows and the positions and transforming the shadows and everything. Here is the wire 3D shape that I then decided to create to start my sculpture. Here's the documentation of my sculpture making process. It starts like this way, by the way. Well, here first and then like that. Whole documentation of it. Here's some more of the final pictures. The annotation which explains everything. Here are some like properly printed photos of my piece to like really showcase it at its best. How does this relate to Transmute? I wrote this piece based off transformations that go inside of our bodies. The installation of this piece causes it to move and spin, causing a transformation of perspective. Next we have my animal liberation front. So here is all my research on the story of who they are, why they do what they do. Yeah, there's a lot to read here, but this is all me researching and putting everything into one. Basically, long story short, they're an animal rights activist group, terrorists, saviors, who knows. That's basically the whole point of this whole thing I do. They tried to transform the world, but was it terrorism or heroism? Yeah, so here's the whole story. Next is the screen printing. If you read my annotation and everything, you'll know why I picked the deer. Was because it's all in here. I don't want to go over the time limit, but please read that. So I chose the deer image because it was very symbolic to the animal liberation front. I did some of the screen prints. I didn't want to put any proper ones in, those will be on loose. This is a printed picture, but here was my most successful screen print. It was like, I just really like the screen print, the use of everything. It's all written here. I'll zoom out if you want to pause and read that. Here is artist research into Ken Wilson. I wanted to create a collage based off animal liberation front. That was going to be my main piece, and I needed an artist to back me up. So I used Ken Wilson. Everything that he does creates a commentary within his piece of topics he wants to speak about. This is very important, him and the way he does it. This is my final piece, my collage. Love it, amazing. Here's the collage annotation. Please read, very important. Here is my Transmute photography. Just did little brief explanations because I would probably die if I did full annotations for all of these. Yeah, these are all my close-up photography. Very cool. Yeah. And finally, last but not least, is some fish eye photography I did, transforming a face using different lenses. It's just what I wanted to go for. Use my friends as images. Anyway, going to skip on to the reflective journal now. 5 minutes left the video. So this is my reflective journal. Basically this was all planning, like just initial thoughts. It's all very messy, all proper like in-depth analysis. Everything is in here. So artists to potentially research. A lot of these artists I did not, but just good to have initial ideas. Here was my mark making, why this idea, everything, just first thoughts of everything. I did some Greek mythology, which I did not go into, but it's good to see the process. What do I want to do differently? Here we have other types of research. Here's all my close-up photography. I was going to do Mike Curry, didn't really do him. Did one pet photograph, which kind of relates to him, but I didn't really go into him. Ended up going down different routes, more project ideas, quick plan for sketchbook. These are some close-up photography artists. Here is my collage. This is just annotating like ideas for what I was going to go with my collage. I didn't go for this one, but went for this one, and it went really well. This is just my essay stuff. Here's my screen printing. What could I improve? Next step, research screen print artist. I ended up going with Ken Wilson. How to develop my ideas further. What went well? Yeah. Here is just 3D nets. This is about 3D nets, create 3D nets. This is my 3D stuff. Design shapes inspired by a roof. These were just the cardboard shapes. I was going to do balloons wrapped in glue, covered in yarn to create influence structure. I didn't do that, but what I did was a lot better. Recycled materials, which I did do, recycled paper. This is my photo planning, like photo painting planning page. Image 1 plan, image 2 plan. I did actually go with these plans. Here is my Ken Wilson plan. Animal, I wanted to go like animal rights and animal extinction, then found, when I was researching, found the Animal Liberation Front, which is interesting. Research Ken Wilson, what he does, I did do that. Here's just the plan, what I needed to do for the 2nd of March, lots of ticks. Photography plan, close-up photography, fisheye lens. I'm just going to do it based off Thomas Fluchwitz. It's kind of fisheye, not really fisheye, but like portraiture, close-up portraiture. Animal rights collage, new ideas. This is when I found them. Researched a lot into them, wrote it in my reflective journal. Explain, what does that say? Explain group. Oh, explain the group, create collages, different materials, different mediums, mark making, gather images relating to them. I did do that. More research, more planning, plans for collage, plans for painting ones of photographs. This was how to improve. Pretty sure this is the last thing. This was how to improve my project. And this is another thing that I've been using, is like these today things. I've just been doing them and like ticking them off as I go on. But yeah, that is everything. But please read the annotation. So detailed. Everything you need to know will be in that. Thank you for listening.